everybody. Michael Cohen here on the Sports Talk Nation. Welcome aboard, and it is that time again for our NFL picks. It is now week 6 of the NFL season. We're getting back on the ball here with our picks. So far this year, our pick record is 27-19-1. Now, I know we missed the last couple of weeks, but that's what the record is. A lot of great games coming up this weekend, folks. A lot of great matchups, and the one thing we have learned through the first 5 weeks of this NFL season is you just never know. Don't take anything to chance because anything is possible, and that has been the case so far this season. Let's kick things off. Our first game, the Cleveland Browns and the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, the last time the Chargers met the Browns in Cleveland, it was not a fun day in Chargerland. The Chargers, of course, were still the San Diego Chargers, and the Cleveland Browns won their only game of the 2016 season. It was for a very long time until the Browns win against the Jets just a couple weeks ago, their only win for 2 straight years. That's how long it was for the Cleveland Browns. That was the last time they won a game. And now this year's Browns have been playing well. Hey, Browns have gone from being the lovable losers that we're used to seeing to being a team that dare I say, could be contenders. Didn't we hear this before with the Cleveland team in a movie? Oh yeah, that's right, Major League. In that film, as we all remember, the Indians won a couple in a row. Hey, that was called a winning streak. The Cleveland Browns have a chance this week, if they should beat the Chargers, to have their own personal 2-game winning streak, which will be the first in a very long time. Can the Browns do it? Can they go out there and beat the Chargers? Well, I'll say this. The Browns have been in every single game they've played in so far this year. Some people like to go out of their way to say that the Browns, if they had the ball bounce their way a couple of times, could be 5-0. Had a chance to beat the Steelers, ended up in a tied game, lost to the Saints because the kicker couldn't make any field goals, and then lost to the Raiders a couple weeks ago because the officials couldn't tell what a fumble is. So yes, the Browns have been in every single game they've played in this year, and now they go up against the Charger team that's playing better football as of late. The Chargers have won a couple in a row. They are 3-2 on the year. They dismantled a Bear Raider team last week, snuck by the 49ers the week before that, and now they get the Browns on the road. Now, it's never easy for these West Coast teams to come all the way east to play an early kickoff game like this in Cleveland. So that's going to give a lot of people to say, hey, maybe the Browns can go out there and win this game. But you know what? I like the way the Chargers have been playing of late. As I said, they've won a couple in a row. Phillip Rivers has played extremely well. He's completed 70% of his passes. He's only turned it over twice, and the Chargers are running the football very well. Melvin Gordon, averaging 4.6 yards per carry, has 3 touchdowns already this year. That could be a bit of a problem here for the Cleveland Browns, so this will be a very tall task, I think, for Cleveland. Yes, there's no Joey Bosa in the lineup still for the Chargers, but I'm going to take the Chargers in this one. It'll be a close one, low-scoring game. I'm taking the Bolts by 5, 22-17 to nip the Cleveland Browns. Now let's head over to the Meadowlands for game number 2, and that's the Thursday night game tonight between the New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles. This is really a matchup between two teams that at this point in the year, with Philadelphia at 2-3, with the Giants at 1-4, two teams that are desperate for a victory and desperate to get their season on the right track. The Giants right now are team turmoil. It all, of course, highlighted by the fact that Odell Beckham Jr. going on a ESPN interview with Lil Wayne, and of course Odell decided to start to throw the team under the bus. He threw his quarterback under the bus. He threw everybody under the bus, even said that he would rather live in LA than in New York because, well, it's kind of chilly here in New York during the winter. So that started up a big fervor going into the week last week against Carolina. I have to give, and a lot of people have done this, give Pat Shurmur a lot of credit. Yes, Pat Shurmur is Captain Milquetoast as far as I'm concerned. There's not a lot of fire there, but he did force Odell Beckham Jr. to speak to the team before the Carolina game last week, and he did try to put the fire out as quickly as he possibly could. So you give him some credit there, but still, this is a team that has so much turmoil, a team that still has a lot of bad character guys on the team. Odell, who they have paid a lot of money to this offseason, as he's one of the highest paid receivers in the National Football League now. Eric Flowers, who's been a complete cancer in the locker room and on the offensive line. A lot of problems with the Giants. And now they go into a game against the Eagles that if the Giants should win and they get a little bit of help, would you believe that the Giants could be in first place? Yes, that is possible. And yes, even aliens could land as well. That's not going to happen either. And, of course, you kind of see where I'm going with this pick. The Eagles are 2-3. They have not played good football so far this year. They have lost 3 of their last 4 and 2 in a row. And you can make the argument, had the Falcons and the Colts, who both had possessions inside the 10-yard line against the Eagles, had scored touchdowns, there's a good chance that the Eagles could be 0-5 right now. That's how tenuous the situation has been here for Philadelphia. I know they came back and made that game close against the Minnesota Vikings. That game was not close. At one point, that game was 20-3. So the Eagles have not played well. They haven't run the football well. J.J. now is lost for the year, and there's a lot of talk about the Eagles perhaps going out and bringing back LaShawn McCoy, making a deal with the Buffalo Bills. That has not happened as of yet, but that rumor is out there. The Eagles need something. They need something positive to happen for them, and they need a win in the worst way. I expect the Eagles to go out there in the Meadowlands against the Giant team that has had a lot of issues this year, and I expect them to play a good football game. I think Carson Wentz will play a good game tonight against the Giants, and a Giant defense that has had a lot of trouble trying to slow people down. They couldn't stop a nosebleed last week against Carolina. They couldn't slow down the Saints the week before that. They are not stopping a lot of people, and let's be honest, outside of what happened last week, the Giants still are a team that you have to wonder, can they score 30 points in a game? I know they scored 31 last week, but still they lost a football game. You have to wonder what's going on there offensively with that football team. It's more than just the quarterback, although he has not helped at all in Eli Manning. Saquon Barkley has done his part, but still, how much can you expect from a running back to carry a team, especially a team that is under so much turmoil as the Giants? I like the Eagles in this one. They'll sneak out of the Meadowlands with the win, 27-17. Staying with the theme here in the Meadowlands, the Jets and the Colts will play each other at the MetLife Stadium on Sunday afternoon, and this is a big game for both of these teams. The Jets right now at 2-3, Colts at 1-4. This is a pivotal game for both of these teams if they have any desire to stay in this playoff race. And you take a look at these two divisions, well, they're still there up for the taking, even though I think we all know the Patriots are probably going to win the East. Jaguars are probably going to win the South, but for the time being, these two teams, Colts, Jets, still want to believe that they have a shot. The Jets are coming off of a big win last week against the Denver Broncos, and finally, in that game, the Jets won 34-16. They let Sam Darnold be himself. They opened up the playbook, and yes, while the numbers only said 10 out of 22, 198 yards, you have to like what you saw if you were a Jet fan from Sam Darnold. He went deep with the football a couple of times, a 78-yard touchdown to Robbie Anderson, followed up by a 35-yard touchdown to Anderson later in the game. He also had a beautiful back shoulder throw for a touchdown to Terrell Pryor. So he had a tremendous game for the Jets. Not to mention New York just tore apart the Denver's defense on the ground. 323 yards rushing, one of the best days rushing the football by a Jet football team in franchise history. Isaiah Crowell set the franchise record for rushing yards in a game, 219 yards on the ground by him in this game. So a huge day for the Jets. Now, the question is, can they have an encore this week against the Colts, a Colt team that has been in a lot of these games and a lot of close games so far this year? Yes, they got their doors blown off against New England last week, but for the most part, this is a Colts team that's been competitive, although they haven't won a lot of football games, only won one. So, can the Jets win multiple games? The Jets have not won 2 in a row, let alone 3 in a row for that matter, since last year. So this is a stiff test for them, and Andrew Luck is easily the best quarterback the Jets have faced up to this point in the schedule. Up to this point, the Jets have seen guys like Blake Bortles, Baker Mayfield, who may eventually become a really good quarterback, Case Keenum. They haven't seen a lot of good guys. Ryan Tannehill, they haven't seen a lot of good quarterbacks out there. So this is the best one they've seen. Now, I know a lot of people are going to harp on the fact that Luck, now in his first full season back since the shoulder injury, taking some time to get reacclimated to the NFL, but you take a look at his numbers, folks, and they're really impressive over the last couple of weeks. He threw for over 400 yards against the Texans in a loss, a game that the Colts actually were winning until the Texans came back, tied the game, forced overtime, and the Texans won that game. But 464 against the Texans 2 weeks ago, 365 in a loss against the Patriots last week. He has thrown 7 touchdowns, 2 picks in his last 2 games. So Andrew Luck starting to get him a roll here, and he's got some weapons around him. Guys like Eric Ebron, T.Y. Hilton, Ryan Grant. There's some speed there. There's some physicality there. So if the Jets are going to win this game against the Colts, they have to get some pressure on Andrew Luck. He's still a statue back there. He's not going to move around a whole heck of a lot, and the Colts don't have a running game at all. So if you are the Jets, it's to shut down this running game and really get a lot of pressure on Luck and make him throw some uncomfortable passes in this one if they want to have any chance to win this football game. For the Jets, offensively, they have to continue to let Sam Darnold be himself. They have to open up the playbook, again in my mind, and they really have to duplicate the effort they had last week against Denver. Again, we'll see if it's possible, but I have to take the Colts in this one, and it's only because Indianapolis, in my mind, my feeling is they're just due for a win. They've been so close in these games. Should have won against the Eagles 3 weeks ago. Should have won against the Texans 2 weeks ago. They're due for a victory, and I just have a funny feeling at the Meadowlands that the Indianapolis Colts are going to get the W. I'll take the Colts in a close one, 24-20 over the New York Jets. Game number 4, let's go over to Cincinnati. The Pittsburgh Steelers visit the Cincinnati Bengals in a crucial AFC North matchup. Now, does anybody really believe in the Cincinnati Bengals right now? Yes, the Bengals are 4-1. They played good football for the most part this year. They've had a couple of nice comeback victories against Atlanta on the road and against Miami at home last week. But this is the ultimate litmus test for the Cincinnati Bengals. If the Bengals want to be taken seriously in the AFC North, if they want to be taken seriously in the AFC or in the NFL for that matter, this is the game they have to win. In fact, you take a look at the next couple of weeks here. Really, for the next 5 weeks for the Bengals. They play the Steelers this week, the Chiefs next week, the Saints November 11th, and then the Ravens November 18th. Those are all huge games against teams that could be in the playoff mix, if not in the playoffs later this year. If the Bengals want to be, if they want to be taken seriously, these are the games they have to go out there and start winning. So they had a great start to the year, but can they keep it going? Now, history is against them right now. Because you take a look at the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers-Cincinnati Bengal rivalry, it's been all Pittsburgh all the time. Since 2010, the Bengals have won only 3 games against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's it. And the Steelers swept the Bengals last year. In fact, they've been sweeping them virtually every year for that matter. They've swept them every year since 2016 for them, in fact. So, can the Bengals get off the schneid and get a big-time victory against their division rival? I think it's going to be asking a lot. The Steelers are coming off of a very nice victory last week against the Atlanta Falcons, 41-17, a win they desperately needed to get back on track. Roethlisberger had a big game last week, 3 touchdowns. James Conner, does anybody miss Le'Veon Bell? I don't think so. James Conner keeps putting up big numbers on the ground for the Steelers. 110 yards last week, 2 touchdowns. The defense went after Matt Ryan, 6 sacks. So the Steelers, in spite of their helter-skelter start to the season, where they had the tie against the Browns, where they were losing big games and playing bad football against the Chiefs and against the Ravens, barely beat the Buccaneers in Week 3, maybe that win against the Falcons is going to get them going, and if they win this week against Cincinnati, that's really going to get them going. So I could see the Steelers going into Cincinnati, knowing they have this mental edge against the Bengals for whatever reason, and going out there and getting a win. So I'm going to take the Steelers to win this football game. It'll be a close one. It'll be high scoring as usual. Neither one of these two teams play great defense, especially scoring defense. 31-28, the Steelers will ink out the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday. Now, game number 5, the game that nobody wants to sit down and watch. It is America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yes, that means Dak Prescott against Blake Bortles. I'm sorry, America. I am so sorry, America. Yes, Blake Bortles against Dak Prescott. It is going to be a 60 minutes of complete and utter stink. What is the objective of both of these teams? Well, it's very simple. Slow down the other's running game and force the opposing quarterback, whether it be Prescott, whether it be Bortles, doesn't matter, to try to make plays and try to beat the defense. In other words, there's going to be a lot of turnovers in this football game, and I'm not talking about apple turnovers for that matter. Yes, it's going to get ugly. It's going to be painful to watch, and this is the kind of game, if you are the Jacksonville Jaguars, that you want to be in, because the Cowboys aren't exactly a team, at least so far that we've seen this year, likes to get smacked around. They played a physical game last week against the Houston Texans and lost. Should have lost the week before that against the Lions in a physical game. They inked that one out on a late field goal to the Cowboys. So the Cowboys 2-3, the Jaguars at 3-2, and I think the Jaguars coming in angry after what happened to them last week against the Kansas City Chiefs are just going to go out there and lay wood in the Cowboys. I know it's at the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys aren't an awful team. They certainly have every opportunity to go out there and win this game. Would I be shocked if Dallas wins? I wouldn't. But I just see the Jacksonville Jaguars going in there with that defense, guys like Myles Jack and company, going in there and just wreaking havoc against this football team. Now, it's not like the Jaguars are healthy here. Jaguars have a lot of injuries. They have a lot of concerns. Leonard Fournette still listed as out. Marquise Lee, Austin Seferian-Jenkins, Cam Robertson, I could go on, all right now are listed on injury reserve. So it's not like the Jaguars go into this game fully healthy. Quite the contrary. They got a lot of problems there. But, man, do I trust the Dallas Cowboys? I just don't. Travis Frederick still out. Terrence Williams on IR. Defensively, you got DeMarcus Lawrence, David Irving, Malik Collins, Sean Lee, all listed as questionable going to this game. In other words, it's basically a battle of attrition. This game really could go either way. I will take the better defense. I usually take the better defense in these games. I'll take the Jaguars to edge out the Cowboys by just 1 point. It could go either way, but I'll take the Jaguars in this one, 27-26. Now we got the game of the week and the game that everybody wants to watch, and that's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs and the New England Patriots. On one side, you have the guy who has been there, done that, has all the Super Bowl rings, and Tom Brady. And then you got the young gun there, and Patrick Mahomes. You have Santa Claus on one side. You have the devil. Did I just say that? The devil. Yeah, okay, Bill Belichick for that matter. I know. Bill Belichick against Andy Reid going at it again. Chiefs against the Patriots. This is going to be must-see TV. And you know what? The last time these two teams played each other just last year in that opening day game, Kansas City ran roughshod all over the Patriots in that football game. We all know what Kareem Hunt did to them in that football game, running for 148 yards. Alex Smith had a huge day with 4 touchdowns, and the Patriots had no answer against the Kansas City Chiefs. And that's been that way a couple of times in this rivalry when the Patriots are going into the game against Kansas City and just got smacked around. Remember that Monday night game a couple of years ago in Kansas City? Patriots lost that game, got smacked around. I think it was like 44-14 or something like that. And everyone's wondering, oh my God, the Patriots, what's going on? What's happening to the dynasty? Brady's done, Belichick's done, fire everybody. And that was the attitude back then. Of course, the Patriots won the Super Bowl that year. So this time around, it's going to be Patrick Mahomes. And it'll be his first start against the New England Patriots, his first start against Tom Brady. And this is going to be a lot of fun to watch. I mean, that's the understatement of the year, obviously. Mahomes has been incredible. I mean, in a lot of ways, he has been the NFL MVP up to this point of the year. The stats speak for themselves. He has been poised. He's been confident. He's been the leader of that team. And the Chiefs have been this high-flying machine offensively for almost all season. And they're almost a guarantee, week in, week out, to score 30 points a game. And kind of reminds you what the Patriots used to do in Brady's prime, where they would be this team that you would just knew they were going to score 30 points a game. Can the Patriots defense slow this Kansas City offense down? That's going to be the big question mark going into this one. Defensively, the Patriots are starting to play better football. They shut down the Dolphins 2 weeks ago, slowed down the Colts just enough last week. They're starting to get on a bit of a roll, and you just have that feeling that in this kind of game, this could be a tough match for Kansas City because you know the Patriots, you know Bill Belichick are going to scheme. They've had a couple extra days because they last played last Thursday to scheme for this young quarterback. They're going to be ready to go. This does not mean that Kansas City isn't going to score points. They will. But I think this will be a game where Kansas City will get slowed down just a little bit. And the Patriots with Brady, now with a couple more weapons there, with Julian Edelman back in the mix, with Josh Gordon now in the mix, Now the Patriots can go out there and make some things happen offensively for themselves, and I think I would not be surprised if we see a shootout in this one, but I will take the Patriots. I'll take the team with experience right now and the veteran quarterback. I'll take the Patriots 35-22. Now, let's go quickly through this, as we always do, the rundown of the rest of the games of the week. Let me pull this up here, and there is the graphic right there. Falcons and the Buccaneers, and you know what? The Falcons are due for a win. They're 1-4. They need to win in the worst way. The Buccaneers are starting to come apart after their great 2-0 start. Falcons are going to win that game 34-21. I'll take the Birds. Seahawks, Raiders, two teams going absolutely nowhere. Raiders are 1-4. Seahawks are 2-3. Both of these teams, for whatever reason, I don't know what the NFL was thinking, putting these two teams, West Coast teams, out in London. This is part of the start of the London series for the NFL, and they're giving Londoners, Englanders for that matter, the Seahawks and the Raiders. I don't trust either team in this one, but I'm going to take the Seahawks to win 23-20 over the Raiders. Raiders just make too many mistakes, keep shooting themselves in the foot. I'll take the Seahawks in this one by a field goal. Another game of Jekyll and Hyde is the Ravens and the Titans. Which team is going to show up? I have no idea. Are we going to see the Ravens team that we saw last week played down to the Browns? Or are we going to see the Ravens team that smacked around the Steelers the week before that? Which Titans team are we going to see? Are we going to see the Titan team that rose to the occasion and beat the Eagles 2 weeks ago? Or are we going to see the Titan team that played down to the Buffalo Bills? I think that's going to be the big question. I trust the Ravens more than the Titans. The Titans have had a lot of issues offensively so far this year. They really haven't scored a lot of points outside of the Eagle game. And going up against this Ravens defense, which again is still a fantastic unit, they're going to get after Marcus Mariota in this game. I could see the Ravens running the football to control the clock in this one, and they're going to win this game, a tight, low-scoring game. Old school Ravens style, 16-13 over the Tennessee Titans on Sunday. This one is also a fascinating game, and that's the Bears and the Dolphins. Now, of course, when you think Bears and Dolphins, you think back to the game from '85 when the Dolphins beat an undefeated Bears team and prevented the Bears from being what would have been that year an undefeated season. Would have been 18-0. Of course, they ended up being 17-1. That one loss was to the Dolphins way back then. Fast forward 33 years later, the Bears come in with a team that is on fire. They are 3-1. They are clicking on all cylinders. Mitchell Trubisky had the best game of his life a couple weeks ago against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But remember, the Bears coming off of a bye week. The Dolphins right now coming in desperate. They've lost 2 in a row. They need a win in the worst way. I know the Dolphins aren't a great team by any stretch of the imagination. And would I expect Khalil Mack and company to go out there and take apart this Dolphins offense? I would. But I don't know. You know, the way the NFL's been this year, strange things happen. I'll take the Dolphins win, 27-24. Same thing could be said for the Redskins and the Carolina Panthers. Panthers got very lucky to get out of that game against the Giants last week. Redskins got smacked around by the Saints. I could see the Redskins going out there, winning a close game at home. They want to get past what happened to them last week against the Saints. Again, Panthers are very lucky that they're 3-1 right now. Redskins win 20-19 over the Panthers. Vikings and the Cardinals. Cardinals got their first win last week. Vikings got back on track with a nice win against Philadelphia last week, and I expect Minnesota to trounce the Cardinals 31-17. I'll take the guys in purple. Texans and the Bills. And you know what? The Texans with a nice win last week. I don't know how the Bills are 2-3. I really don't know. But they go into Houston, J.J. Watt and that defense chasing around Josh Allen. Josh Allen. I don't like that matchup at all for the Bills. The Texans are going to smack around the Buffalo Bills 24-10. That game is fait accompli. The Monday night game, the Monday night game you see right there before the Bronco game is going to be the Packers and the 49ers. Now, when the schedule came out and we saw Monday Night Football, 49ers-Packers, the idea of Aaron Rodgers against Jimmy Garoppolo, you start to have visions of the past, of the 90s, when you had guys like Favre and Steve Young and Jerry Rice and all those great teams between the Packers and the 49ers. Well, let's just say that is still a dream, because these two teams aren't that good. The Packers have a lot of problems. Aaron Rodgers is playing hurt. The team around him isn't that good. They're 2-1. looked horrible last week against the Lions, and the 49ers, since Garoppolo was lost for the season, are an absolute train wreck. But I'll take the Packers anyway because they're home, because they needed to win, and well, because it's Monday Night Football. Packers win 28-16. And finally, the Rams are going to absolutely destroy the Broncos. I don't care what you say. The Broncos couldn't stop the Jets, couldn't stop a nosebleed. You tell me they're going to stop the Rams? Not a chance. Yes, the Rams could have lost last week. Yes, this could be considered a trap game in a lot of ways because it is a bad football team they're playing, again, on the road. But I'll take the Rams to win. It wins soundly 37-13. So those are my picks this week, folks. Remember to like and subscribe right here to the Sports Talk Nation YouTube and follow us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/OpenMicProgram and on Twitter @OpenMicNJ. Talk to you next time, folks. Take care.